Hi everyone. I thought that this photograph came out just really beautifully. This is the kind of lighting that I'm looking for in a studio shot. It's nice and even. It has a really nice warm glow. The shadows are soft. The highlights are not sharp or blown out. The only problem with this picture is that she's either a little too close to the background, or maybe he didn't have enough depth of field. I'm thinking she's a little close to the background, so I want to show you a way you can fix that if your background is distracting. We can actually fake a depth of field in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is I want my layers palette, and I am going to be applying some permanent changes to the layer, so I don't ever want to mess up my original file. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this layer so that if I mess something up, I can just delete it and I won't have harmed the original file. I'm going to take my select object tool and get a selection around her, and then I'm going to do my select and mask, and that's really important on this picture because she's got lots of little bits and pieces of flyaway hair, and I want to make sure that I keep all those little bits of hair because they kind of add a nice texture and kind of a nice casual quality to the picture. Okay, let me make my brush a little smaller and just come along the edges here. And then I'm going to go into the black and white mask for a minute because then I can really see if I'm getting all those little flyaway hairs. Yeah. Yeah, they see that how nicely they're coming out. Okay. And there's even some on her shoulder. And it looks like I may have picked up a little bit of the shadows inside the figure. I can get rid of those pretty easily by just using my regular brush and hitting, whoops, screwed that up. Don't hit the Option key, just use your brush. Okay, but we can also fix this later, so I'm not gonna be too particular about it right now. Okay, so let's say we've got a selection. We're gonna mask her out and apply a blur to the background. Now, what's happening right now is she is selected, and I actually want to select the background. So I guess you can't see at the top of my screen, but up here where it says select, I'm going to choose inverse, and now you can see I've got marching ants going around the background. And what I want to do is apply a blur. I'm sorry, I didn't make the screen show the menu at the top, but if you look at the top where it says filter, and you click down and you've got a blur. And there's a number of different blurs, and I played around with quite a few of them, and I always wind up settling on the Gaussian blur. So you click that, and it blurs the background. And you can, make it very, very blurry, or you can make it just a little bit blurry. Here it is with the slider all the way to the left. I'm going to just drag it. I think if I drag it about halfway across, that puts a pretty nice blur on the background. Yeah, that's a little too much. Let me just kind of take that. It's sometimes nice to have a little bit of variation. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to deselect. And again, you can't see my menu at the top because I forgot to include it in the screen, but it's there. So like deselect. Okay, now one problem I have though is that blur did kind of mess up the edges where I had so carefully tried to select her hair. So I've got a fix for that. I don't know if I've talked to you guys too much about masks, But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mask, and that's this little box right here. And then I get a paintbrush, and I just want to make sure there's black paint on here. And I'm actually going to paint into the mask here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the editing that I just did with the blur tool, just along the edge of her head or the edge of her shoulders where it got blurry and I didn't want it to. And so if you look very closely at this little box right here, you can see this little black line that I'm painting on here. And what that's doing is it's removing part of this layer and it's letting the original layer show through. And so that's a nice little trick if you ever apply some edits and they're working great, except in a few select areas, you just come along and mask them out. Super easy to do. I'm going to make my brush a little smaller so I can get this nice piece of hair right here. And so now I don't have the distracting creases showing up so strongly in the background. You know, I'm still a little bothered by this one, and I might try to come in with my healing brush tool, or let's say my spot healing brush tool. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Let's see what happens when oops, I'm still on the mask. Got to be on the actual picture for that to work. Let's see what happens when yeah, it's gone. Okay, so, you know, that's like kind of another level of editing you can do. Whoops, I don't know what happened right there. That was kind of weird. But, you know, just to get rid of a little bit more of that distraction in the background and leave a little bit of it so there's some variation. And you know, now we have like a really nice portrait. If I had the time, I'd go back and clean up along the shoulders a little bit more. It still looks a little bit wonky in there, but I think you get the point. Super easy to do, only takes a few minutes, makes all the difference in the world.